that the big win over Boston College overshadowed Florida State getting a 5-star recruit. Hykeem Williams, 5-star wide receiver, number 2 player in South Florida, number 5 player in the state of Florida, recruited by 24/7 out of Fort Lauderdale straight ahead. I mean, let's be honest. I'm going to say we were there, only NBC6, only live local station down there for the event. When you've got a signing day ceremony where you bring out Peter Warwick and Snoop Minnis, that was a big event. That literally, I think the exact words I said are, "What the hell is Peter Warwick doing here?" But you bring out Peter Warwick and Snoop Minnis for your signing day. That was a huge moment, and I think, Logan, along those lines, this is a guy who you look at the other, everyone say was going to go to Texas A&M. Miami was the first school to offer him. He's a South Florida guy. And I talked to him afterwards. I said, "Why Florida State?" He said he made this decision 2 months ago to go to Florida State. That he loved Florida State. He loved the coaching staff. He loved Coach Norvell. He loved Ron Dugans. I mean, what does this mean? I don't want to say this because, once again, let's just be honest. We could be talking in 3 weeks, and Florida State could be 4-3. I don't think we will be, but it could. What does this mean right now? Are we almost back?
I don't know. I don't know about back yet, but Hykeem Williams can help you get to back. And I love that. I'm finding some good lingo here after a good little 10-minute power nap. Hykeem Williams adds on more than a lot of things, but just going to the recruitment and everything. Shout out to the Donk. I want to give some respect on his name.
Put some respect
on Ron Dugan's name. Put some respect on Ron Dugan's name right now. Quote it, Mark. Clip it for Twitter right now. Put some respect on Ron Dugan's name, both on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube it, because both on the field, as the wide receiver room has hit a entire 180 with a wide range of players making touchdown grabs, along with now leading stats already 4 games into the season, beating last year's. That's a wrap. And then you go over here and you land 5-star Hykeem Williams, which, like he told you, Jason, seemed like Florida State had put themselves in a spot to kind of wrap that up. I think during his last visit, which we saw him coming to visit, he was doing the war chant, he was doing the chop, coming into practice. He looks like a natural being around the coaching staff and talking with the players. He just feels comfortable, and I think the relationships there was number one. And number two, you look at Mike Norvell and what he's been able to do, and he's been preaching a lot of things to these families, to these players, these top tier talent guys. Jason, they've gotten there with those they've been there number 2. They came in second place, third place, usually with these top talented guys. And now you finally go out here, you get 4 wins in a row. You go over there, beat LSU right in front of him in New Orleans. You go on the road, you beat Louisville, which in that game almost you shouldn't have won, because you're throwing in Tate Rodemaker. You didn't know where that went. Tate Rodemaker makes strides there. So then you take care of business against Boston College too. That was just after he committed, but still you do what you need to do. Hykeem Williams especially, he's a big guy. That's a big wide receiver too. Got to see him in person. You saw him in person too. That doesn't look like a 17-year-old to me. That doesn't look like a 17-year-old.
He is he's 6'3". He's a grown man. I mean, you're talking about a guy, 35 catches, 11 touchdowns. And one of the people who was there covering the event, a writer, I'm going to call him a hater, a Miami fan who shocker didn't go to the University of Miami, but he was saying that his 5-star was inflated because it was camp numbers. Well, I'm sorry, 35 receptions, 700 yards, and 11 touchdowns. That's 1 touchdown for nearly every 3 receptions. I'm going to take those numbers as being pretty damn good in a game, and not just camp numbers. So, and don't get me wrong, A&M's still going to make a push for him. I think Pitt is going to still make a big push for him. The recruiting coordinator for Pitt is obviously a South Florida guy from Broward County. But I mean, this is a guy who, for the last 5 years, Florida State swings and misses on, for the most part. And for him to decide, I'm gonna hit up the turnpike, leave the 954, head to the 850. The momentum is strong. The momentum is strong for the Garnet and Gold. And then, it could all fall apart. But I think right now I like where it's going. I like where we're going. I'm going to give here. You can clip this one. Logan, Mark, you can clip this one. Get ready to hit record. I'm happy with Mike Norvell getting a top recruit in Hykeem Williams. Mike Norvell did something right.
He did something right. He's 4-0.
Hit the output. I know.
Thank you, Jason, for your stamp there for Mike.
He did something right.
He's going to keep on doing things right if they keep on winning, obviously. But I'm not even done with Hykeem Williams. There's another name out there that we need to start keeping a close eye on, because I said this from the very beginning. This recruitment's not going to be over. Both for Hykeem, another 5-star, Jaylen Brown, who got to see Florida State defeat LSU in New Orleans. Also there, Hykeem, Jaylen Brown were tossing the ball with one another at one of the camps over the summer with FSU. They have a good relationship there. We're going to have Hykeem Williams on in an hour and a half on our show at 8 o'clock tonight. I have a certain question for him. He hasn't done any podcast interviews after his commitment. There's a lot of things to go into this, but I do want to ask him who he's recruiting, who he's after. What kind of recruit is he? Is he a guy that's going to be social, or is he going to be behind the scenes doing things, or is he just going to let it play out kind of like Lamont Green Jr., where he ain't doing much of anything? He's just ready to get here and absolutely annihilate whoever's in front of him. But there's chitter chatter. And whenever there's chitter chatter, it's usually 2 months, 3 months in advance. So something maybe after this football season or something, if things go in the right way for Florida State. But when you hear chitter chatter, it's almost, well, we have a hurricane coming, so it's not something to really metaphorically talk about. But usually in a little while, we'll get an answer, and I don't know, just something to keep an eye on.
Make sure you ask him which station was the only one there. Just make sure you ask him who cared about covering him. But I will say about Jaylen Brown, we did interview him before the start of the season. We went down to practice at Gulliver Prep down in Miami. Other than being amazed at how much people are paying for a high school education, we won't get into that one for one moment. Jaylen Brown wants to leave South Florida. He's committed to LSU. There were a lot of people who thought he was going to commit to Miami, but he wants out of South Florida. So I think LSU is still the leader, but I do agree with Logan. I would not be surprised if Florida State makes a big run for him. And I think getting Hykeem is a number one. Keeping Hykeem is number one. But if you can get Jaylen Brown to flip from LSU to Florida State, that would be huge.